the incident in Gibeah in Judges 19. And he repeatedly says that I think in 48 places where the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah mentioned, not once is homosexuality associated with that. When I pointed out to him that in Ezekiel 16:50, after listing the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah, it says because of this they committed, and it's to'evah. Now some of our translations render it as abominations, but it's actually the singular use, the to'evah. And there's only one of the sexual sins in Leviticus 18 that is specifically said to be to'evah, and it's homosexuality. And so any meaningful interpretation of Ezekiel 16 in light of the Mosaic Law would see that parallel, recognize what's there. When I asked him during cross-examination, could you explain what the singular to'evah is at Ezekiel 16:50? So we don't know. We don't know. But we know it can't be homosexuality, but we don't know what it actually is. So anyway, yes, sir? Well, we haven't gotten there yet. In reading his material, he had already dealt with arsenokoites in 1 Corinthians 6 and 1 Timothy 1, said it was pederasty and so on and so forth, which isn't overly difficult to refute. But what had been helpful to me in preparation for this debate is the approach he took to Romans chapter 1 I had never seen before. I had never seen it. And I've read a lot of books on homosexuality, far more than I've ever wanted to. And I had never seen it. And thankfully, once I mentioned it on the dividing line, some people sent me some links, and lo and behold, it's picking up some popularity. So Michael Brown had never heard it before. I talked with Bob Gagnon yesterday about it, and he was a little surprised at how many people were picking it up. So it was good to encounter it beforehand, because to be honest with you, if I had heard it in the debate for the first time, it would have been one of those moments, which are not good in a debate. It's not good to have moments in debates. So basically, the argument is based upon a 1994 scholarly article by a gentleman by the name of Calvin Porter, who argues that Romans 1:18 through 32 is a Greek rhetorical device where Paul is arguing the standard Jewish view. He's quoting from some ancient Jewish source. There are a lot of parallels between the wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha in Romans 1:18 through 32. There's actually some fascinating differences too. But anyway, and they can't say what Jewish source it was. It's an unknown Jewish source. But he's quoting from this. And then beginning at chapter 2, verse 1, he then turns to argue against what he's just said. And so the rest of the book of Romans is actually an argument against Romans 1:18 through 32. And therefore, if we have taken Romans 1:18 through 32 as having any normative theological value, we've completely missed the boat, because Paul argues against it. Now, talk about a theological novum. Talk about a absolutely massive minority view, but there it is. I mean, it has so many problems in it that it's hard to even begin to know where to list them all. But the thing that's thankful is that I knew it was coming, and therefore have been able to think about it. And interestingly enough, I think Graham realizes how tenuous that argument is. He didn't make it in the debate. He referred to it briefly, and if you'd read his stuff, you could see that he was saying something about it, but he did not make it an argument in the debate, because I think he realized that against anyone who knows Romans or can deal with the original languages or anything, he was going to have a hard time defending that. And so he sort of went a different direction, which did not shock me at all. But anyway, we had a very good turnout. We had somewhere between, it's hard to measure, but somewhere between 400 and 600 people. Had a very strong live stream. I guess you were able, Josh was able to watch it. It really went well. We already have the audio, but we should have the video this week. And of course, we'll get it up on YouTube as quickly as we can, however long it'll be there. It went well. It was, I think it's going to be very useful to folks to be able to do that, because I think Graham did a good job presenting the standard revisionist perspective. So it was strange to have done that Friday and then attend a debate on the same subject basically less than a week later, where someone else is taking the position that I had taken halfway around the planet. It was sort of fun to just sit back and you go get him, Bob. It was nice. So that was Friday night. Like I said, I spoke on Saturday and preached Sunday at Antioch Bible Church in Johannesburg, morning and evening. And I obviously picked up the normal respiratory type thing that's almost impossible to avoid when you spend nearly a full day in a pressurized cabin with, since it was 2 legs, what is that? About 500-600 different people in close quarters. It was a 747 from here to Heathrow and an A380 from Heathrow to Joburg. And so by Monday, my voice was sounding pretty rough. I was doing the Barry White instead of James White thing. And we had found out on Sunday, much to our disappointment, that though we had been informed that both debates on Monday and Tuesday evening would be at the Juma Masjid in Durban, they were moved to a hall next door to the mosque, and that was very disappointing to us. There's a lot of politics amongst the Muslims in Durban, and so we got a lot of different stories from the Muslims as to what was going on there. The location was not very good. The acoustics were bad. Attendance was not nearly what it had been last year because it had been moved and the weather wasn't all that great. And the setup was just horrible. We had these comfy chairs and didn't have a table to sit at to write at, and we're tripping over each other, and it was challenging. And when I get the first debate was on war and peace in Christianity and Islam, and I got up to speak, and I was honestly concerned I was going to make it through the evening. I did not. I was struggling to produce sufficient volume to be heard. It was ugly. The gentleman I was debating is named Yusuf Ismail. I have attempted to work with Yusuf. He is an attorney, trial attorney. I have attempted to work with him a few times now. We've done 5 debates. I guess you could actually